Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is possibility. It's actually expanding possibility. It's very, very interesting how as we grow and evolve, new potentials emerge, new possibilities emerge that open up our opportunity for a fuller expression of our essence and our essential potentials. So it should be a fun conversation. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, all your electrons, and creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining stress, tension, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together. Feel the tickling, the tingling, the pressure, the temperature, the friction, all that motion, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So it's good to be here with you this morning. And let's talk about possibility. This conversation comes from a conversation that I had yesterday with a client about, where they said, I feel like there are new things that are possible, that there are things possible that hadn't been possible before. And this was a result of some pretty massive changes that they've undergone. Good morning, good evening, Gia. Wonderful to have you here. It's been a little while. Welcome back. And welcome to everyone else who's joining us. We're talking about possibility and how actually unlocking potentials is really what we're talking about. And as we go through our healing and our growth and transformation, new potentials become available to us. Maybe they were always there in a latent form. Maybe the potential was always there. However, certain keys had to be unlocked in order for those potentials to be accessible. So with this one client, there were things that they needed to get through to open up a whole new world. So what we're talking about here actually is contexts. Gia says, your time has been changed as per IST. It's 1.5 hours earlier now, so I missed to meet you. Wow, I guess that's because of, daylight savings time. So it's weird that it's an hour and a half different, Gia, because here daylight savings changes just by an hour. So that's so weird. Anyway, I'm glad you found us. And it's great to have you here with us. So anyway, what we're talking about is context. So originally, the lens through which this person was perceiving the world was through one of struggle and suffering. And kind of a commitment to that, that was honorable, and that was, we're going to join in the struggle together. And while it may sound righteous to join in the struggle, what that does is perpetuate struggle, right? It's kind of like, I want to fight for, I want to right all the wrongs in the world. But the thing is, that's like playing whack-a-mole rather than building a better world. Rather than trying to address all the problems, to just instead to generate something bigger or better that has the allegiance migrate over into that better option. So from a place of suffering and struggle, there were all kinds of limits. It meant a lack of money. It meant a struggle around money. It meant a struggle about being seen, or it meant fighting all the time instead of finding a place of ease and flow and expansion and expression. And so as we were able to relieve the anger and relieve the struggle and relieve the commitment to suffering, and to move into a space of worthiness, and to create a deeper sense of wholeness, now what's happening is that this person is creating such transformation at such a velocity. Like, money is becoming really abundant, and this is in a really short period of time. It's crazy. A relationship, a potential relationship, is manifesting. Opportunities to be branding themselves because they're very, very, very talented, dynamic, group facilitator, leader, transformational, inspirational speaker and teacher. So to see this expansion has just been so extra remarkable. And what they said is, I feel that there are new possibilities emerging. I don't know what they are yet, but it feels like something new is available. And what a gift, when you are feeling on this verge of anything's possible. That you want to talk about true abundance. That is true abundance, feeling like anything is possible. And then that gives you the opportunity to move into authentic expression of self. And then the question becomes, how big a game do I want to play? And that question in and of itself, it can be a very daunting question. How big do I want to play? And then we get to go to the next plateau of, well, where are my limitations? Where am I stopping myself? And where am I pushing my boundaries to expand into the fullest expression that I can be of who I am? So it's a very, very exciting and perhaps daunting place to be faced with the choices of continuing to expand it was so interesting because we were speaking about this notion of velocity and how this person is on a tear. I mean, they are on fire, and it's so amazing and wonderful to watch. And interestingly, they said, and I'm not concerned, like a lot of times people in that kind of position would be concerned about when is the other shoe going to drop. And she said there's nothing that's not present for her, which was pretty awesome. So what is it, what would it look like to be looking at a new horizon, looking at a new horizon line, like that's in the different distance, or that it has new contours? And what would it be to be moving into that expansiveness? So if we look at the context within which we live, one of the things that was present for this person was the identity of being a victim. And so this is also a really, really interesting conversation, and creates different potentials. So when we look at, maybe we'll talk tomorrow about victimhood if I can remember. So when we experience being a victim, we get to blame others for our lack. It's a space of, why do other people get this opportunity and I don't? And it's also a space of not taking ownership in a certain way. So I think we've spoken on this, about this, we've touched on this a bunch, this notion of when we're a victim, we get to blame the world, we get to blame everybody else and everything else for what we don't have. It allows us to not be empowered in our lives, and to not take active responsibility for our lives. And there's a massive transformation that occurs when we take responsibility, because then instead of I can't, what comes open, or what opens up to us, is I can, and I choose, and I am the orchestrator of my life. So it's a very different perspective. And even like I've said so many times, while people have been victimized, there's no question, when we adopt the perspective of ownership and responsibility on some level for our lives, there's an empowerment that happens with that. Now, a lot of people will take that on as blame, like, oh, you're saying it's my fault that this happened. It's not about fault. It's not about fault. And when I was in my victim mode and people told me things like I was orchestrating my life, I resented hearing that, frankly. I reacted very strongly to it, and angrily, like, how dare you say that this is my fault? Because I was interpreting it through a lens of blame, instead of that on some level, perhaps our higher intelligence is orchestrating all these crazy experiences of our lives that are often devastating and debilitating and exceedingly painful. But then what happens is that we have the opportunity to move beyond those things, to evolve beyond those things, to gain a richness of depth and understanding. And that richness of depth and understanding is something that actually transforms the quality of our lives. So often it is these horrible things that happen in our lives that provide us with some of the greatest lessons and the greatest transformations. And so if we can imagine, like another client said, oh, wow, you mean so I don't have to feel like I've wasted my life and I've screwed everything up. And it's like, no, going through all those screw ups and coming out the other side and having a new perspective on it and being able to learn from it is what enriches us then to be able to give our gift to the world. So Gia says, so true, Mira. I agree with you totally. How victimhood keeps us engaged in downfall, how we deny our own powers and give all the power away to others. Exactly. And Gia, thank you for speaking that. And the truth is that there is, when somebody plays victim, it is kind of a strategy for domination and control. You know, like if I'm speaking my heart to someone and they're being a victim about it, it's a way that they're kind of dominating the conversation. They're not there, or it's a way to control by absolving themselves of responsibility. They're putting blame outward, right? And it can be so exhausting and frustrating and it just debilitating to deal with somebody who refuses to take responsibility for their own lives, right? To refuse to take responsibility for their part in their misery, because the truth is that we do create that. We do it in a very strategic way, often, whether it's conscious or not. Often it's not conscious, but we create our own misery by the conversations we have. We insist on interpreting the events in the world, and that impacts our foundational being, and it limits our possibilities and potentials. So, you know, so from the victim angle, what we're doing is we're closing off potentials to the point where we're just so compressed and limited that we feel trapped and hopeless and helpless and despairing. And so anyway, it's a remarkable thing in this other conversation with this person who was saying, oh, you mean I don't have to feel like I've ruined my life or I've wasted my life or I've made all these horrible mistakes. We all make mistakes, or we all do things that end up creating pain for ourselves or for others, things that if we don't learn from them, we can be regretful of. And instead, if we allow ourselves to go through that, like I have screwed up so much in my life. I have made so many mistakes. I have done so many things that I was so deeply ashamed of. And what I've done is I've learned from those things. And the fact that I've been through that and I'm able to share that with my clients, for example, to say, oh my gosh, I know what you're going through. I used to have such horrible situation around money, that at one point, all I had to my name was $9 in the bank. And I can say that, and that actually, the fact that I'm not in that space anymore gives hope to people that are in the midst of their struggles, to know, you know what, it doesn't necessarily have to be forever. So Gia says, I love the way you said going through all those screw ups can actually uplift us. And that's the only path sometimes, in my experience, to transformation. 100%. At least I don't know any other way. And when start seeing our suffering as thriving, the old story of victimhood changes to new story of success, or anything you can call it. Thank you, Mira. Gia, you're so welcome. It's true, really. There's a sense of strength and calm, actually, that comes on the other side of having gone through these devastating periods of life. I mean, really, for such a big portion of my life, I was incredibly depressed and had suicidal ideation. I really felt very much at the effect of life, and helpless, hopeless, trapped, and on and on. And finding new ways of thinking and being, that motivated, that the pain motivated, moved me into a new construct, a new context, so that now I can use that experience as a source of wisdom, or a source of, as a resource, to recognize, you know what, I've been there. I know how you feel. And the other thing is that having gone through those things allows one to have understanding for other people that are going through those things, and allows one to have a greater capacity to be present to the experience of others as they experience that pain, knowing that it doesn't have to be permanent, knowing that it can change. So there's a capacity, those of us who have gone through deep darkness, there's a capacity that we have to be able to be with people who are going through deep darkness, because we have been through it, and we have gotten to the other side of it. So Gia says, you're an awesome role model, an example, and living hero in my life in many ways. Gia, you are too generous, sweetheart. Trust me, you're going through was not personal to you. It's serving the world. Gia, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I actually want, maybe instead of talking about victimhood tomorrow, we can talk about gifts. Because what if the experiences, as you just said, what if the experiences of our lives, as painful and horrific as they might have been, the experiences that honed us and refined us and tempered us, maybe those things are gifts that then allow us to emerge, it's kind of like the excruciating experience of birth, right? Birth itself is a hugely traumatic experience, but it's birthing us into a whole new realm, right? And so the gifts that we're given, which may be partly the gifts of these traumas that help to shape us, Gia says, I have a dentist appointment tomorrow and I don't want to miss it. Well, you could always get the replay, Gia, right? If we talk about gifts tomorrow, if I remember. But the thing is that these gifts that we're given are not for us. They're for us to give to the world. And so I so appreciate what you just said, is that going through the things that we go through that help to shape us into the expression that we become are perhaps also part of the gift that we were given to give to the world. So with that, I'm going to call it a day. Gia says, oh, live is a gift any day. Well, Gia, you're just so sweet and generous. So that's going to be it for today. And I thank you, Gia, for your engagement, and to everybody else who is watching and engaging even remotely in these conversations and considerations. And I so appreciate the opportunity to be indulging these in these musings with you. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And until next time, so much love to you.